Last night I fell into bed a little earlier than usual, about 11:30, but I stayed up till about 1, scrolling the internet, scrolling the shorts, and I was delighted because for whatever reason, my feed is now full of videos and shorts on how to deal with Trumpists. I love the algorithm for sending me that stuff. It's what I've been trying to get across for the longest time. This number one challenge. I consider it the 8 billion person question. How do you humbly humble humans who will say or do anything to avoid human humility? In other words, how to engage with people there's no talking to. And you've got folks like Dean Withers on there, and you've got Medi Hassan. And I watched one of these things that Medi Hassan did, and I thought it was great. He had 7 recommendations or 7 rules. One of the rules, though, didn't sit quite right with me, and I want to clarify why. And I'll show it to you. Here it is.
Lesson number 4, bring receipts. This is key. You want to win a debate, even with self-confessed fascists and white supremacists? You have to know your stuff. You have to have your facts and figures ready to go. Your stats, your data. You need to have done your homework, done your prep. You need to really know your own side of the argument, but you also need to know the other side of the argument, their argument. And then you've got to just drop those truth bombs. You've got to overwhelm them with superior knowledge and all that homework in your head. If you do the prep, it really can be that simple and that devastating.
Okay, now I think it's great if you bone up on facts so that you are well armed for Trumpists. And anyway, if you're following the news, you probably are accumulating some anyway. At the same time, I do not want that to be a barrier to entry into engagement with Trumpists. I think a bunch of us are feeling like, I can't talk to my parents or my family about this because I don't have enough facts. And those guys, they've got their talking points. What if they bring up a talking point that I don't actually know about? I don't think that is an appropriate limitation. I don't think you actually need facts when you're dealing with these guys because I don't think they're dealing with facts. They may rattle off a talking point or two, but I think that's ornamentation. It's so that they get the sense that they are experts somehow because they have 1 or 2 talking points. I don't think the problem is talking points. I don't think it's content. I don't think it's policy. I think what's going on is that these people have fallen for the satisfactions, and I will argue masturbatory satisfactions, that is, it's self-pleasuring, the satisfactions of robotically playing hero. And I don't think you'll be able to really ground your conversation in any of the facts. They want to lead you around by the nose. They want, the way that they win an argument by their standards is if they get you talking about whatever talking point they bring up. They don't care about the talking point. It's a win for them when they can put you on the defensive. And that's not where the problem lies. It's simply herobotic masturbation. That's my sense of it. And I have a master's degree in public policy. I do know how to do that wonky stuff. And I just look at them and I say, these guys don't care a bit about what they claim to care about so much that it trumps all other considerations. It is simply herobotic masturbation. And I've been saying for years, don't debate them. They're just masturbating to you taking the bait. Expose that instead. So I'm delighted these days. I've got a new series out, Worth to Try on Trumpies. And it's drawing out a lot of Trumpies. And if you're interested in how I engage with them, it's not on talking points. I don't want to persuade them. I want to expose them for masturbating to us taking the bait. And so my reply to the Trumpies who pounce on me there, all of them saying very similar stuff. You got Trump derangement syndrome. I know you are, but what am I? I was called a Nazi today, which is kind of funny given my nose and my history. But it's just, I know you are, but what am I? You're a poopy butt, that kind of stuff. I am commenting on those and their examples of how I think we need to address them. Do not debate them. You don't need to know facts because they're not playing with facts. They're playing with themselves. And they're using you as a prop in their game. You're just a masturbatory prop in their game. And I think there are ways to address that and corner them with that. And if you need to, you can always say, flesh it out for me. This guy accused me of being a Nazi. Great. I said, now explain to me how I'm a Nazi. I want to understand. That is, put the burden on them, because remember, for them, the goal is to get you talking about their topics. Okay, so he brings up a topic, you do not address it, you do not defend yourself. A guy with my nose defending himself as not a Nazi, I don't bother. No, you then shift the burden back on them. Let me know what you're talking about. If you can, because most of these guys can't. They shoot their wad with a taunt like that. And if you don't take it up and you change the subject, they run away. I think of them as like people who are so scared that they've shimmied up a tree and are throwing their feces down at you. And given their altitude, they feel like authorities. The quantity of them that diagnose, as if they are the head of psychology for the American Psychology Association, you've got Trump derangement syndrome, or simply you're a moron. But that's the sound of someone up the tree. And so I'll often say to them, here's a question for you. Explain to me why I'm a Nazi. And I hope you stick around, because most of you Trumpies run away after the first assault. As you shoot your wad, and then if you're invited into adult-to-adult conversation, you run away because you got nothing else. That's all you've got. You are a one-trick phony. So I invite you to, please enjoy and savor and learn from Dean Withers and Medi, Hassan, and all of these great people who are playing in that field. And don't feel like you are obligated to bone up on a bunch of statistics and facts and all of that stuff. That is not the game they're playing. It may feel like three-dimensional chess, where they've got all the moves on the board just because they have a couple of tack-welded talking points here and there. I can name this fact, I can name that fact. But no, really for them, it's just them up, you down. And them up doesn't mean I'm scared and up a tree. It means I'm higher, I'm the authority. They always play umpire, as if they're the ones who decides who wins and who loses. And it's always them who wins. I had one yesterday who posed a question, he wanted to pose it several times. I began to wonder whether he was a bot. But he finally said, because I didn't answer his question, because I didn't take it up and turn the thing on him, he said, I guess I won. That's what they're doing. They're just a circle jerk vanity project. And I have no problem with them. Those are great. To have a circle jerk vanity project about your sports team, or about your favorite band, some lifestyle brand, whatever, knock yourself out. That is great. You just don't want to do that about basic infrastructure, the stuff that we all survive on. And so my main point to them, if I'm going to drive any point home at all, it's self-love is important, but get a room, don't let it go to your head, zip up after, and do not turn basic infrastructure into your circle jerk vanity project. See you next time. Now, if you feel like you're dealing with one of these God-playing, shell game-playing, self-righteous know-it-all bullies, subscribe, like, and email me. I'm a PhD psychoproctologist. I research the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of this kind of absolutism. I've got tools you haven't tried. I do private strategic consulting to tailor your response to whatever self-righteous know-it-all bully you're dealing with. First half hour free. And I have a free, private, no obligation study group you can join, people from all over working together on more effective ways to deal with such people.